My name is Claire Fenello. I am the Executive Director of EVCOM, and I'm delighted that this afternoon we are doing a conversation and screening with some of the shortlisted entries from our 2020 Focus Awards. Now, we launched this awards last year, first time out, and we were absolutely delighted with the response that we got. The reason for launching this award was we wanted to encourage a more diverse range of filmmakers into the corporate film world, just to raise the awareness of corporate films as a career opportunity, and just create that link between young filmmakers and our membership. Some of the winners were lucky enough to receive mentoring, and they've had several conversations with people in the industry who have helped them, hopefully, further their careers, and we hope to be able to develop this awards program to a greater extent as we go along. But this afternoon we have three wonderful, inspirational young women who are shortlisted in this award, and my colleague Amelia Brown will be having a conversation with them. So at this point I shall hand you over to Amelia, and she will introduce the women to you. Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at this panel focusing on the Focus Award. As Claire said, thank you for that lovely introduction, Claire. We're here with three of the shortlisted filmmakers from the Focus Award from last year, which is the first year we ran this new program. So I'll introduce you first to those filmmakers, and then we're going to see their films and talk to them a little bit about their films and the process of creating for them and what they're working on now. The three filmmakers are Jigyasa Anand, whose film Happy Birthday was one of the shortlisted entries, Godgift Chidinma Emesi, whose film Stranded in Nigeria, The Road to Anuga was one of the entries, and Esther-Rennae Walker, whose film 56 Black Men was one of our shortlisted entries. So first we're going to watch the film Happy Birthday by Jigyasa, and we're going to watch that, and then after that we'll talk to Jigyasa a little bit about the film itself and how references and inspirations for creating it. So Claire, whenever you're ready, if you could play that film for us, please, now.
Yeah, so the objective is basically like each episode is different, so it's kind of hard to
talk about. Each episode is different.
Yeah, but something different. There's no big one plot. Something different happens each episode. So like
something different happens every day. How can you want something called Riverdale?
What's wrong with the name? What's wrong with the name?
It's boring.
You're gonna make fun of the name.
There are just so many other things you could have called it. I don't know what though, because it's clearly not good.
Hey, maybe you look trash
I see it on,
but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Very funny, but I see it on the page and it's like, you know what, I'm not having that. Can't be having that. It's just rubbish. Like, you can't have all these things like guns and violence and...
Oh, so Money Heist isn't about guns and violence?
No, but that's what makes it interesting. Yeah. Alright. Yeah. It's just 100 series. So, Jigyasa, you've got your audition tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do you know what monologue you're going to do?
I've got some ideas, but like, I'm not sure.
Like what? Like one of your greatest ideas recently?
I'll have you know it's Juliet from Romeo and Juliet.
Boring! The most overused monologue ever.
It's overused because it's good.
Yeah, it's good, amazing, brilliant. Since it's so good, show me.
Show you.
It's only us two. You've got no pressure. I'm your friend. You're supportive. Amazing.
Very funny, Kate. I'm not gonna do it here.
Just do it. I won't laugh.
I'm not gonna do it.
I won't laugh.
I'm not gonna do it.
I'm
not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
You are.
I am not gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah, so...
Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoneress Phaeton would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy close curtain, love-performing night. Let Romeo leap to these arms and talked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties.
Can they really?
Or, if love be blind, it best agrees with night.
Yep.
Come, civil suited knight, the matron all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match, paid for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Could my unmanned blood bating in my cheeks till strange love grow bold, think true love acted simple modesty. Come, night, come, Romeo, come thou day and night, for thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow upon a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving black-brown night, give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him into little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. So tedious is this day as is the night is a festival, when an impatient child hath me robes and may not wear them. Here comes my nurse, and any tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks but
I
heavenly
very much doubt your nurse is coming.
eloquence.
Okay. In that case, do you like strong one or mild one or what one?
Anyone will do, yeah.
Anyone will do. Okay. Then this is this is blue.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah. How old are you, darling?
18, it's my birthday.
This is your birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank
Can I have
you.
a card, please?
Yeah.
ID, anything?
Yeah, I do have it somewhere.
Can I have a look? Go to check the name.
Thank you. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Make sure the orange it is. Then you like the white end. Really, you should. Wake up, step.
Am I doing it right?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna do a video. Cheese.
You are the light where you are when you are mine.
Well, thank you so much. That was so, I haven't seen that for a couple of months now, so it was lovely to see that again. We talked so much at the time about, you know, capturing that kind of teenage feeling of just wandering around with nothing to do and just days to fill, which I think teenagers over this last pandemic, you know, not being able to school must have go to school must have felt so much more. But yeah, that was great to watch. Thank you. So I wanted to ask you, Jigyasa, I know that one of your references is for this piece is the film Breathless. Could you tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to make this film and the influences that you draw on more generally in your creative filmmaking and general creative practice?
Yes, thank you, Amelia. I think one of the big reasons for making this film was a lack of sort of things to do and a lack of, you know, it was made during COVID times, right? So there wasn't a lot that I knew was being done. And I'd come from like a theater background or an acting background, and you know, there's nothing happening there. So I thought, all right, we'll have to make something of our own. We'll have to do something, otherwise we'll just be sat at home and be watching TV. And so our idea was to do something really stripped down and really something we could do on an iPhone. Just film it, put it together, and have what was important be the story and the characters, and you know, have it be like real life. That was a big inspiration. Have it feel like you are there with us, like you're a friend, or you are the camera, or you know, that was something I really wanted to do. And for those reasons, I say we, but I mean, I was really keen on the black and white. That was something I was really keen on, as well as having no music. So it was very slow, hopefully, and very still, and with lots of sort of room to let your eyes wander. And yes, Breathless was a big inspiration. I think it's a wonderful film, and it also has that sort of slow, melancholy pace where you're not sure what's going to happen next. And another similar film that we didn't talk about before, but was also a big inspiration, was Bottle Rocket, which was one of Wes Anderson's early stuff. And before the color picture came out, he did a short, which was about 15 minutes, black and white, and again, with a bit of a handheld shaky cam and sort of following these friends around. So those were two things I really, two films I really enjoyed and wanted to emulate when I made this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to hear about how you made it, and something good came out of COVID. So that's, you know, a silver lining in not that many. So yeah, really, as you say, the theatre industry, you know, we do a lot of work for the event side as well, and that's really been shut down by it. So it's great to see people taking to new forms of creativity because of it. So the next film that we're going to see is Esther-Rennae Walker's film, which is called 56 Black Men. So Claire, whenever you're ready, if you could play that film for us, please, now.
In a land where our skin embodies images of advertised African poverty, American ghettos, the estate down in East London, Hackney, fueled by violence, vulgar, vibrate, skengdo and AM, heady one tracks, FUs and suck your mum for taking the piss out of my African mum, who is not really African. I mean, she's specifically Nigerian. I mean, the ignorant white brother can't tell the difference between country and continent. I mean, I'm the uneducated one. In a land where black is merely immigration stories, urban myths of a monkey's heritage, smoking weed, hide weed, deal with the weed, addicted to weed, weed, bear, weed. I use the word bear. It doesn't mean I'm not eloquent in speech, but I live in a land where my lingo mocks my chance of being considered equal, ambitious, innovative. All the colors of the rainbow that allows others to dream ferociously. All the colors of the rainbow that I apparently can't see. 'Cause in this land, I'm black before I'm me. In a land where, for every black man you see represented doing something negative, there are 56 of us that aren't. In this land, our melanin radiates excellence. Some successes are prevalent and all of us are still on our grind lest we end up desolate. We can't afford to stop to show the world the rainbow that is East London's Dixie's and Bossman's Corner Shop. In this land, I can't be stereotyped because the music in my skin cannot be commercialized. There are so many layers, complexities, and colors that I am produced with the blood of Christ. In this land.
Paul, Ola, Dami,
Tony,
And Caleb, and Caden, and me, we're free.
Thank you so much. Such a powerful piece, and again, really lovely to see it again. Esther-Rennae, I know that your film was inspired by the 56 Black Men campaign founded by Cephas Williams. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about that campaign and the inspiration that it gave you to create your own film off the back of it.
Yeah, so thanks again for this opportunity to speak. This is really cool. Yeah, so essentially it kind of started from a random lecture. I remember the lecture was like writing for stage and screen. And one of the tasks was to like find an article online and write about it. And so I kind of searched up something like race and culture because that's what I wanted to write about. I was in the mood to kind of write about something to do with culture and race. And so randomly searching up like BBC and race and culture, 56 Black men popped up, and I was like, wow. And so I saw this campaign by Cephas Williams that was basically encapsulating and shooting Black men in Black hoodies, Black men from different worlds, different disciplines, different dreams, different walks of life, and they were all captured in this Black hoodie. And it was basically to challenge the stigma of Black men in hoodies, you know, them being criminals, them being up to no good, them just being villainized, and to show that Black men can wear hoodies and they can be from the hood if they want and still be as, you know, and still be normal people, just like normal humans with dreams and with nuances and differences and with quirks about them, and not just this villain in a Black hood that might steal my bag or that might, you know, stab me, or any kind of stigma, you know, negative stigma that is often portrayed about Black men, especially like Black youth. So I wanted to, so I wrote kind of after reading the article, and there was this one line that I think it said, for every Black man you see represented doing something negative, there are 56 of us that aren't. And I was like, ooh, like that kind of like really sat with me. And so I, from the back of that, I wrote something, you know, I wrote the monologue, and this was in 2019. So I had no idea that I was going to make it to a short film, but I just remember writing that and just getting everything out and just, you know, trying to encapsulate the voice of a Black man who just wants to dream and wants to live in a world where he doesn't have to face these stigmas. And so, yeah, that's how it was inspired. And then later on, during especially 2020, where Black Lives Matter was being more amplified and the death of George Floyd happened, and the death of Breonna Taylor and all these other horrid Black deaths, I thought it would be great to kind of encapsulate that in a short film for actually a short film competition. And they were like, you can make a film about lockdown and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't really want to do a COVID film. I don't want to do that. I want to do something that I think is like quite meaningful to me. And I just felt I'm a Christian, so I did feel like God was speaking to me. It was like 56 black men. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And so I made the film with like, you know, you saw kind of different black men from my local community, that those were cousins, neighbors, you know, and it was just amazing to put together. So that's how I was inspired.
Fantastic, thank you so much, and amazing to hear that it's such a community-based project, and so many people you know were involved, and that it began with that article. It's a really exciting project. So thank you for sharing it with us. So the next film that we're going to see is made by Godgift, and it's called Stranded in Nigeria: The Route to Enugu. So Claire.
Scary, y'all scary.
Are you opening for us? Hey, sister. Put your phone for pocket. Put down your phone for pocket.
Enugu. I'm gonna say it. I sound so British. Oh my gosh. Enugu. We're in Lagos. We're gonna drive to Enugu.
If it's stolen, you need to do that check for stolen cars nowadays. See what they do.
No, they can't.
No, am I supposed to drive with custom? I know the driver.
How old is the vehicle?
Old?
Yes, how old is the vehicle? Was it bought brand new?
Brand new? No.
Let me see.
I didn't have to come with it.
Okay?
Leave them there, John.
Daddy?
Nonsense. Leave them there.
Close your window.
Let him take. You can't leave these people. You can't go away from here. These people, this set of police, if you hear all the killings that is going on in Nigeria, they are the people doing it. They are the people they call federal SARS. They are people they call federal SARS. They'll tell you they will kill you and nothing will happen. Before you know it, they'll shoot you. And the story is story. That's why just hold them. Just needed to make sure we get out of here.
Yeah.
These ones are the criminals. What is searching here to find out if you get to see anything, money, whatever, you will start. Yeah. It's absurd. Good day, sir. Well done, thank you. Yeah?
people are from Norway. Norway something now. I know
Norwegian thing. Hey, good man.
If you give me stand yourself, I will say yes. I don't win jackpot.
Let I give you Norwegian money. Thank you. Hey,
this one not in Norway now.
It's true. It's true. Hey.
Transporters, how do they make their money?
They are not pursuing the transporters now.
Yeah, but
they keep giving them money.
That's what I'm saying. So how
naira, 50 naira. Yeah, how do they make their money? That's what they don't care how they make them. 50 naira, 100 naira. Then what will be their profit? To buy fuel, maintain your motor, and as they are going, they keep giving 100 naira, 100 naira. Just check the one I'm giving now, 500 naira. How do I make my gain now? Driving on the street, you carry important paper, you carry registration documents. The only thing I need to drive motor is insurance. And this, vehicle license and insurance. You're coming out from this one. This one is stopping you. You come out from this one. Another one is stopping you. I don't know what I want. That's why sometimes I don't stop. Telecom. How you doing? Thank you.
Daddy, did you give him money? Okay. So all of these people you've been giving them money, by the way?
Yes, we're giving them money since almost 3,000.
Because I thought they were just having conversation. I couldn't see you giving them money. So it's been 10-15 minutes now. This has been the longest stop so far in the journey. Me and my mum are chilling. Not exactly chilling, but we can't really go out. Other cars have been avoiding the customs officers, like when they wave them down, they just keep driving. But they're only targeting specific cars that look new, apparently, or just look as if there's people inside that have money. Here they've just been able to flag down this car as well. I think they're going to be asking the same things. That car that we're walking over to right now. My dad's still there at the green customs car. Okay, he's walking back with his documents.
Come, let's go. Yeah. Where's my wallet? Okay, well, I'll save it. And thank you. Huh? All right. I'll call you. That is even why I got the number. But you've told me what to do. That's beautiful. So I'm not going to be scared of them again.
If the road is free, you move your own and go.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yeah. What he just told me now, see, what you will do is not to tell them you don't have the document. Make them angry. What you do is give them the document. But as you're bringing it, something is like it. No more like 1,000 naira in your hand. Then you go where you're going.
I get scared with any police.
You're supposed to be, because police is here for all over the world. It's not only Nigerian police.
Yeah.
British police will set you up badly. America the same thing. Police all over the world now. It's not a good They are the criminals themselves, all over the world. Not only Nigeria. They will mastermind it to set you up. Just don't annoy them. They know the law. They know how to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So much insight there. I think we can all agree. Now, Godgift, I know that you're passionate about creating film, as we can see that explores socio-political issues and addresses global challenges. Would you be able to talk a little bit about where that passion came from and how your film was born out of it?
Yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity. It's been great watching everyone's films. And yeah, in terms of the kind of films that I like to speak on and pursue, it's definitely socio-political ones that explore socio-political issues. It stems from, I guess my personality. I like to find out more about things. I'm always like questioning things or thoughts that are being said in the mainstream, if that makes sense. And so when it came to going to university and I had the choice, it was either pursue film and TV or pursue politics, philosophy, and economics. Mainly because my dad wanted me to be a lawyer, but I didn't want to be. So I felt like PP was a good like middle ground so I could pursue film later. But yeah, my course had a big impact on like how I think about things as well, with governments globally, and just how people like to relate with each other, or how we as a world can develop ourselves socially and economically. And because of that, I think that's the layout for the film, how the layout for this film ended up working out. I'm realizing now as I'm watching it, the way I ended it is basically how I end or like how I write all my PP essays. We're putting in quotes, references, all that kind of stuff, because I had a point that I was trying to make throughout the whole film. And so my course, like all you learn to do is when you have a point or an argument, you back it up with your readings. So in making that film, which was a complete accident, it happened while stuck abroad in Nigeria during the first lockdown. We ended up traveling a few days before the UK announced that it's looking down, so we ended up being stuck abroad. Not a good idea. But yeah, while there, I learned a lot about, because I haven't traveled to Nigeria. That was the second time I've been to Nigeria, but the first time I've experienced the kind of corruption that goes on, like in every country, but Nigeria specifically. And I was shocked. I was like, this has been happening since before I was born. The kind of checkpoints that are being done, and I was like, at the time, I recorded only for my family's safety, just in case anything happened and I'd have evidence. But then later on, I was like, that's not right. And I wanted to just make people aware. I thought maybe someone who actually has actual political power might find this video randomly on YouTube and like want to do something about it. So that's why I made it. And so my point was basically that this needs to stop. And hence why the film ended up being laid out that way, all nice and friendly in the beginning, and then like showing through real experience what happens, and then at the end, like giving up points to back up why this is so important. The only thing I wish now that I'd done with my film is maybe give solutions, because that's one thing that my PP lecturers and people marking my essays would say. You should have your own opinions and stuff. And yeah, I feel like I wish I'd given some solutions on maybe how that can be changed, but I guess I'll leave that up to the viewer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for a sequel. I don't know. But yeah, I think, it's certainly, you get your message across in it, and I think it's an incredibly powerful piece. So, thank you for sharing it with this competition. So I wanted to ask all of you now what you sort of learned from the process of creating this film and the films that, you know, I know a couple of you have made multiple things, you know, the stuff you've made in the past. And, you know, I know you're all at the beginning of your filmmaking careers, but is there any advice that you pass on to first-time filmmakers who haven't made anything before, but like you guys have ideas that they want to do something with? Do you have any words of wisdom for them? Jigyasa, if I could go to you first, please.
I wanted to say that I loved both of your films so much. I'd seen bits of them both before, of course, but to sit here and see the whole thing was so wonderful, and they were both so profound. And I think what I was going to say ties in nicely, actually, with both of your films. This film that I made was my first film ever that I made, and it was out of a sort of desperation of, I need something to do, no one's doing it with me, I've got to do it myself. And honestly, I've got a love-hate relationship with this film. Sometimes I watch it, I'm like, oh, this is rubbish. Sometimes I watch it, I'm like, you know what, I like this, I like that, I'm gonna do this next. I think the main advice which you could give is just to do it, like just have a go, get your friends together, get an idea and have a go. Like you can't learn by thinking and not trying. Of course, you've got to plan. Of course, you've got to have some planning, some ideas. But I think the best way is to try and learn. And after making this film, of course, you know, we noticed there are some issues. The audio in places is rubbish, and we learned from that. We learned, all right, you can't just hit record and hope for the best. There's some work that. At the same time, we learned to improvise. We thought, all right, you know what, the audio doesn't work in here. We could, you know, re-record it and put it over. Or perhaps we like this. Perhaps we like that when you cross the road, you can't really hear us, and you know, now you're kind of far away from the action. So I think a big thing was sort of not being too caught up in the details, but trying to make something we enjoyed and, you know, we're decently proud of. And I think something what's similar about all three of our films is the way it sort of cuts, the way we've got lots of cuts, and there's something casual about all three of them, although you guys have lots of facts and are talking about two very important things. I think it just shows how much you can do with so little. So yeah, I think just to go out and do it is the best advice that you could ever get.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. It's just that first hurdle, isn't it? Absolutely. Esther-Rennae, would you be happy to answer on that as well?
Yeah, I would agree and say that it's just about doing it and just like getting over that first kind of, I don't know what I'm doing. So make sure that your expectation, you don't put expectations that are like imposed on you. Like don't internalize all those things that are your first short film should like take you to like Hollywood and stuff. It can and it could, and you should dream as big as you and be as ambitious as you can, but also don't indoctrinate those pressures of having it to be perfect and it be on this particular platform and it being having a great one in festival circuits, because all of our films were kind of made like I would say casually, yeah, like casually is a good word to use, as mentioned before, and they still have such a profound effect. So you don't have to have all the money and the budget and the resources in the world. You just have to have an idea that you're committed to and that, you know, resonates with you and resonates with people, hopefully, and go for it. And there is an art in making film like that and using the resources you have and using your voice. There's art in just the basic increments of like a phone and editing software and people that are around you and just putting that together and doing the best you can with that. So I definitely will echo in that, just use what you have while you have it, and then learn from all the films that you end up making. Take notes. I didn't like the way I done a particular shot and it was a bit wobbly. I like cleaner shots. So this time I'm gonna ensure that I have maybe a handheld camera that I can, just stuff like that, writing notes and saying, okay, that's what I want to be able to do and implement. I think my lecturer said something it's not cheesy, but it is a little bit cheesy in that he said it's not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes permanent. So like you're just practicing and it will just stay with you, and you'll only get better from there. So yeah.
I really like that. Practice makes permanent. And as you say, there is such an art to making these amazing, these amazing films on such limited resources. It's such a skill set. So well done. Godgift, if we could hear from you, please.
Yeah, sure. So again, yeah, like I just emulating or repeating what Jigyasa and Esther-Rennae have spoken about. It's definitely just do it, and also learn from it as well. Like I love how you've both like said the things that you wish you hadn't done, but now you're just gonna not, do it in the future. And same with my film as well. I watch it and I cringe every time because I'm just like, I don't like that. But it's something you just learn from. And I think that you're always gonna, that's one thing I've had to like reassure myself as well, as I move forward, that I'm actually not gonna like anything I make, probably, like ever. It's probably just a fact that I'll just have to face. Like, even if I reach the height that right now I'd love to reach, at that point, I'm gonna have a different height in mind, or like a different level that I think I should be at. And I feel like there's always gonna be that creative gap, that we just have to like appreciate, because that's the thing that makes us better or want to be better. Without that creative gap, we're never actually gonna improve. And also, just one more thing, like Jigyasa, I loved your black and white like mood in the beginning. It was just, it's really clever. Especially, I don't know what camera you were using, but it really made the quality even better. And then like with Esther-Rennae's shots, like the color correction on it, like it had this like grayish dim down of colors, but you each had it for your own different reasons. I feel like that's super important, that you're always keeping yourself within your films. Like your film is your film, it's not anybody else's. So even if someone else might tell you during the process, oh, that's probably not a good idea, I've never seen that done before, like obviously take it with a pinch of salt, but at the same time, like it's your film. Like it may have never been done before, but now it's your time to do it. And who knows, someone maybe years later, maybe not tomorrow, but might see it and be like, oh, I really like that, and then replicate it. So always keep yourself within your films. I think that's super important.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really great advice. Always learn, always keep yourself within your films. I love that. I'm going to write all this down and put it on a poster somewhere. So I've got a final question for you all. I just wanted to find out, I know we're in a pandemic, so it's very difficult to do anything. But just, what you've been working on creatively since the Focus Award last year, if there's anything, you've done with the film that was part of the Focus Award, anything new, or any plans that you've got for, the coming year as we open up. Esther-Rennae, can we start with you, please?
Yeah, I say right now I'm now stepping into the world of theatre. I haven't like left film. I've been there for all of like 5 seconds, but I'm kind of moving into theatre more and finding kind of fulfillment in writing for stage. And so I've done a couple of programs. I'm done one with National Theatre, doing one with Theatre Peckham now, and I'm writing a play with a friend as well, which we hope to get produced somewhere. And we're really working hard in making sure it's good. So that's what I'm working on right now, and as well as like writing for, I say poetry, spoken word, that sort of stuff, monologues. It's kind of a fusion of monologues, poetry, and spoken word. But who's gonna correct me here? Who's like the gatekeeper of it? I don't know. So it's getting into that and just showcasing my work and really learning different disciplines of writing and stuff. So that's what I'm currently doing, and I hope that you guys will hopefully see the play at a theatre near you. God's grace, yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
How exciting! I can't wait to see your writing on stage. That's really exciting. Yeah, I think there's some fantastic programs around London. I think Roundhouse, it does some great kind of spoken word and play related stuff. And as you say, it's such a skill to be able to learn across the different disciplines of writing. So really exciting stuff. Jigyasa, what about you?
I think the Focus Award was really it was something that was really a fluke, right? You often see things online and you're not sure about, oh, should I do this, should I not? And doing it was very important actually, because like I said, it was my first film, right? And even logging onto this webinar to see filmmaker, I was like, all right, maybe we can, it's been an interesting shift to be in control now, right? To know that, oh, actually you can have an idea and you can do something about it. So I think a lot has changed since, just in terms of how I'm thinking about making stuff. And yes, like you said, Amelia, we're in a pandemic, so of course things are moving slowly. However, I've had two sort of films that I'm working on right now, two sort of short films. I'm working on one with a friend, and one alone right now. But I think what's interesting about them is that one is a redoing of something I tried to make and failed at. And I think that's sort of important. Like Godgift said, all of our films have a heart in them, right? And it might not turn out how you like it, but there's something of value in them for that reason. So I'm gonna take something old and give it a new face. And I'm excited. And yeah, they might not turn out perfect, but I think I've learned a lot and I know where to go next, which is a nice feeling of anticipation.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I'm glad that it was a useful process for you, and that you're thinking so creatively about, engaging. And I think, yeah, that is a wonderful thing about making, short films, is you really can realize an idea yourself, which is such an exciting thing. Godgift, if we could hear from you finally, please.
Yeah, so since the Focus Awards, I'd I'd been looking for work so I can earn some money, but also at the same time follow my passions. So I've been able to start up a video production internship at Sony Music, which is really helping me follow one of my other passions aside from socio-political issues films, which is music videos. And right now, like in my on the weekends, I've been working on a treatment for my first music video, self-funded. But yeah, I wanted to, do as Jigyasa said, just do it, and I'd always been contemplating, I want to do a music video, and now I have the confidence, I think, since the Focus Awards, to just go on my own and do what I love to do. So yeah, I'm doing a music video right now, still like applying it to my love for socio-political issues. It's a music video about loneliness, the loneliness you can feel during lockdown in building relationships with people online. As I'm sure we're all doing now. Like, I've met all of you through, I haven't met you all physically, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of really show that through a music video. So fingers crossed, you'll see it soon. Let me know if there's any funding I can apply to as well.
We will, for sure. That's so exciting. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'm honestly really excited to see where you will go and what you make next, whether it's theatre or music videos or more short films. So yeah, that brings us towards the end of the session. So I'm going to introduce Claire again to say a last goodbye, but I just wanted to say thank you all so much for being so fantastic, for letting us screen your brilliant films again, and for sharing your thoughts about your films, and about film in general, and where you're taking it. So it's really, really lovely to hear from you all. Thank you.
And a huge thank you from me. I have to say it's been an absolute joy listening to your conversations and looking at the films again, because obviously I saw them all when we were going through them when the entries came in. And it's great to hear the stories behind them and the motivations and thinking and the thought processes, because it just adds a whole another layer of texture to everything for me. I love hearing about it. I'm a real film fanatic myself. So I'm always very interested in learning about people's beginnings and how they started with film and where those influences and the impetus to get going comes from. I think you're all hugely inspirational young women, and hats off to all of you. And I'm sure you'll all go on to huge success in whichever direction your interests take you. And I'm hoping we shall see you within EVCOM's welcoming arms at some other time. And I would say, you've obviously all got interest in film, politics, and where that might take you. And just to sort of to join the dots in the end around corporate film, I often think the term corporate film is a misnomer, because it can often sound very, formal and businesslike. When you look at a lot of the work that these companies do, it is all in the sort of not-for-profit, for charities, and for really important social issues. So a lot of the work, the kind of work that you've done, would feed beautifully into some of the work that's being put out professionally. I mean, corporate usually just means there is a client, and it's the client that will then dictate the kind of work and film that comes out. But I'm sure you'll all have wonderful careers ahead of you, and I'm hoping that we will keep in touch and see you again at something else. We hope when we have a live film event that we can invite you to come along to some of those, and it'll be a good opportunity for you to meet some of the people in the film community. Thank you all again, and we will be launching the Film Focus Awards 2021 soon, and I hope that you will keep an eye on those and see who's coming up behind you. And thanks ever so much. Thanks, Amelia, for doing a wonderful job of holding it all together, and the questions. Thanks so much. And goodbye to you all. Thank you.